Well, welcome to this week's God experience with the City of Tenderness via the shadow of weakness, equality, and tenderness. I don't know if I have much to say about this particular city or gene key. It's quite a big topic, has all this Christ energy, particularly in the Siddiq version. Yeah, so just the shadow aspect talks about, of course, that it's the male energy that has projected itself onto the feminine energy, creating this weakness in the feminine energy. And of course, the feminine kind of not bowing down, that's not the right, finding its support in the male energy. Yeah, and so that there is a weakness, a perceived weakness in the feminine energy, and then it moves through equality, and equality means equality. The equality is about living totally from your heart. It doesn't matter what gender you are, but that when we live through the heart, then of course equality, no gender is stronger or weaker than the other. And of course, then it moves into tenderness, which is the opposite of the shadow, which is the burgeoning or the birthing of the new kind of Christ energy, the more divine feminine energy, this motherly energy that is going to come alive in the human collective aura. Now, Richard talks about that this city of tenderness is unique to the human aura, the human collective. And I understand what he's saying, but I also disagree. I agree and disagree at the same time. And that the city of tenderness does not manifest in an individual. And I say, if it doesn't manifest in an individual or has the potential to, I'm kind of thinking of, well, maybe Amanda. Why now I can't even remember the saint Ma. They call her Ma, Anandamaya Ma. I guess she wouldn't be considered tenderness, but if an individual can't at least ground this energy or embody this frequency, then how is it born into the human collective field? So I kind of disagree, but I understand what he's saying at the same time. So I really do think that an individual can embody or at least ground the concept, using that word loosely, of tenderness or the feeling of tenderness. And I also feel like that tenderness can cross species, particularly in our domesticated pets, animals that are domesticated, because once an animal is domesticated, which just sounds so harmful, but you give them a name and you give them characteristics and you treat them like a family member, then they are becoming like an individualized consciousness. And so I think that even our pets can display a level of tenderness, and I'll talk about that later. But let's just go ahead and look at the numbers, because it's as if this gene key was written directly from the numbers. I mean, they match so perfectly in all the different levels. So let me do this, share screen. Yeah, and I think what I'm going to do is kind of read them backwards. I'm going to start with the success. So the 13.4, it would indicate the Siddiq frequency, and the 13 is definitely is the divine, watery, feminine, Christ-like energy. It's the mother letter. It's one of the mother letters in this more physical realm. And it talks about, this motherly love that protects all that comes to her. It's just, it is representation of what Richard talks about in the sitting. But the foundation of tenderness is the number 6. And I think the number 6 gets nobody really gives it a lot of credit, but it's such a beautiful number. It comes from the 6th ray of creation, or the 6th seal, as you might know it from the Gene Keys. And the sixth ray of creation is all about faith, idealism, and devotion. And the six is such a devotional energy. And the foundation of tenderness, or what we have to embody, is the six represents our connection to spirit or God, and the ability to ground that into our physical body. That it represents the spine. It also represents the male energy. It's directly connected. The six and the seven cannot be separated, because the six is the male energy, the seven is feminine, but I'm going off on a tangent. So tenderness really has a beautiful devotional quality to it, devotion to the quote unquote other. So I think the six, this is one of the, well, the first place devotion must arise within us is our devotion to God or spirit, but it's the God or spirit within us. So our inner truth, right? We have to have a knowing of who and what we truly are, and know our heart, our inner truth, before we can have any kind of tenderness or devotion to another. And at the shadow level, I think Richard talks about how in this area of weakness, the weakness comes from not feeling supported. And absolutely, those the six, when it in its shadow level, feels like it has no ground, no support from life. So of course, how can it support another? So we really have to find our ground in our inner being. Wanted to say something else and I'm forgetting it. Oh yeah, and because it represent the six is the male energy in us. This, of course, at the shadow level, then the six becomes domineering. But also, if you're a woman and you have a karmic six, say in your soul contract, then of course you what is the word I'm looking for? You would depend on the male energy or psyche for your support, for your strength, right? And that's kind of been groomed into us, looking to the man to make you whole. So that's kind of the shadow level of tenderness. But what we have to embody, of course, is the devotion to our own inner truth, our own heart. And the ability of this is this beautiful 15, which says, yeah, I have found God and I feel God within. And that's the basis of your own feeling of support on this planet. And when you feel that level of connection and support, how can you not be a devotional being to God and to others, and want to and just share your heart with others? Okay, so those are the numbers of tenderness. And what do I want to say about tenderness? You know, first of all, what's being taught, and Richard, because the hexagram, the I Ching hexagram of 37 talks all about the family and how we raise the family. And that's a big part of the Gene Keys as well. And he talks about tenderness in one of its meanings, you know, that gentle, loving touch. But tenderness, what came to me is, of course, it also means something else. It means like you have a wound and it's sore to the touch. So I have a wound. So it's pain or suffering. And tenderness, to tender something, can also mean to make an offer. So there's your devotional quality mixed into this word. But I understand this siddhi being, when he says it's purely for the human collective aura. And of course it is, because it's really the human heart that is so tender and has been wounded so much that it is unique to the human experience. So I do understand how tenderness is unique to the human condition. But I also think we can wound others as well. We can wound I think we have wounded and have created tender-hearted animals. Anyway, I'm going off topic. So what else did I want to say? So, in my practice, since we did the activation on our Saturday call, what I recognize, okay, I feel like we can absolutely be a vessel for tenderness for the human family. And what came to me is that to be open-hearted, that I have to, in order to understand and be a vehicle for tenderness, that I have to reach into my own heart. And it's a vulnerability. And I have to recognize, be aware, and be in touch of my own pain and suffering in the heart, and the wound in my heart. And I did this, I went on a walk, if I just can walk around and being in touch with my own pain and vulnerability and my own tenderness in my heart, recognizing that as I'm looking at the others, then that generates in me a level of tenderness for the other, because I know that they must have the same wound. It's wound to wound or tenderness to tenderness, both the pain to pain, suffering to suffering, right? So yeah, you get it. So I think that's kind of how we can kind of embody and bring down this tenderness. And I was also walking, and yesterday I was walking, and I just got to the front of my house, and I was like, oh, I totally forgot about tenderness this week. And I looked over in my neighbor's yard, and right there were pansies. And I thought, oh my God, that's the perfect flower to represent tenderness. Because really, those flowers are very hardy little beasts. I mean, they do survive like snow and stuff like that, but they're so delicate and soft. And they're tender and strong, and this is the human heart. But we have to acknowledge, and I think the pansy, I mean, just the word, how we've used pansy in our vernacular in life, like pansy would represent a weakness. You're such a pansy, so delicate. That the pansy itself recognizes its own vulnerability, and that's where its strength comes in, and that's where its beautiful, tender, soft petals come in. So I think or feel that tenderness, because and I say this because I have a very difficult time interacting with people and feeling tenderness or feeling love or having an open heart or anything like that. But if I just so for me, I had to tap into my own pain, not trying to find love, not trying to send love or have an open heart and all this loving business. I'm going to send tenderness to you. No, that doesn't work. It's just me recognizing my own pain, acknowledging it, and recognizing that everyone else has the same broken heart in our human collective right now. I think that's so important. It makes me want to cry. We're all so tender. And so, yeah. And so let's be more tender with others. And also tenderness, this tenderness. The first day that I did the activation in the evening time, this is how tenderness grounded through this vehicle this week. I was like laying sideways on the couch, and my little black cat Jelly came over, and you know how cats sit like a human? He like sat down like a human, and I swear to God, he did this. He put his arm, how did he do it? He had one arm on me, and then his other paw came up like this, and he was just holding me. And damn, Zoom thinks I'm raising my hand. And it was the most tender moment between human an animal. And I thought tenderness, I think, can be it can be in another collective, in the animal collective. How can it not? Because that was so beautiful. So yeah. Anyway, enjoy tenderness and yeah, let's just be tender with our own heart wounds and recognize the same in others. Okay, bye.